Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse hit cinemas a week or so ago, and it's caused a little bit of trouble. In no time at all, it's found its way to number 1 on the Letterboxd Top 250 list. This news has made people quite upset, and we're gonna try and figure out why, and if their outrage is appropriate or not. Some people are made up with this news because it was a great movie, sure. But is it the best film ever made? Surely not. There's been quite a lot of people kicking off on Twitter and Reddit. People are criticising the list for becoming too mainstream, dubbing it the IMDB-ification of the site. They argue that the focus has shifted towards catering to the cape-loving normies, rather than upholding the true essence of the list as a representation of the greatest movies ever made. They're complaining about recency bias and overrated ratings. Basically, they're not happy. They're upset that movies about people wearing capes are being deemed greater than works of art like movies like Parasite. Ironically, this argument revolves around Spider-Man, a character who doesn't even wear a cape. Oddly enough, in the first Spiderverse film, Miles Morales expressed his desire to wear a cape, but he was swiftly denied by Peter B. Parker, who said that Spider-Man doesn't wear capes.
And it's a no on the cape.
I think it's cool.
Take that off, it's disrespectful. Spider-Man doesn't wear a cape.
Think I could pull it off?
Maybe I'll grow into it.
So yeah, the comments are sort of missing the mark with that one. Now, before we look more closely at this controversy, I do want to say on top of all this, that Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse is a beautiful film. Everything from the technical aspects to the artistic vision to the music, it was brilliant. It's important to remember that film appreciation is subjective, and each person takes away something different from the experience. I mentioned earlier that there was people kicking off on Twitter about this, so let's take a look at some of those reactions. One user dismissed Spider-Man's top rating, stating, "This means absolutely nothing. Letterboxd is IMDb." They seem to imply that Letterboxd is losing its integrity by becoming too mainstream and resembling IMDb, which is known for its wider user base and occasionally questionable ratings. I'm looking at you, Thor Love and Thunder. That movie is a 2 out of 10 if I've ever seen one. Another user said, "Spider-Man is the best movie ever according to Letterboxd. Faith in humanity lost." I mean, it's clear that this ranking is polarising, but losing faith in humanity over it seems a bit far, doesn't it? There's plenty of things to lose faith in humanity over, but I don't think this is one of them. A different user said, "What happened to the cinema I love?" Then went so far to proclaim that cinema is dead. Alright, Scorsese, calm down. Someone swiftly responded to this, sarcastically remarking, "So just because it's Spider-Man, it's not allowed to be a great movie. What a loser. Lol." I think what we're seeing here is the clash between traditional film enthusiasts and people who appreciate the new wave of superhero movies. It showcases the diverse perspectives on what constitutes a great film. Twitter users also engaged in discussions comparing Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse to other acclaimed films. One user declared, "Parasite was an ordeal to sit through. Spider-Man is a joy, with better social commentary." I mean, each to their own, I guess. One aspect that ignited the controversy surrounding Across the Spiderverse's top ranking is the issue of recency bias. So they reckon that the high rating was a result of the film's recent release and the excitement surrounding it. To counter this bias, there have been suggestions to implement measures such as freezing scores on newly released films. This proposal is them hoping that it will allow opinions to settle and prevent the immediate hype from influencing the rankings. By doing this, it's believed that a more balanced assessment of the film's quality and long-term impacts can be achieved. I feel like this is a simple, yet effective fix to the problem. Hopefully they'll roll out this change to make everyone a little bit happier. Even Parasite is guilty of this. There was a lot of buzz around it when it was first released, and it deservedly earned a spot high up on the list. It continued to hold its position as a highly regarded film to this day. This demonstrates that films can withstand the test of time and maintain their acclaim beyond the initial excitement of the release. This controversy sort of reminds me of how over on my anime list, where Full Metal Alchemist has consistently held the top spot on the platform's top anime list, occasionally being surpassed temporarily by high anticipated releases before reclaiming its position. Now, while the show is undoubtedly a great anime, it may not necessarily be considered the ultimate masterpiece in the history of the medium. However, it manages to secure its prominent position due to its wide appeal. It caters to a wide range of people, offering elements like intriguing world building and a diverse ensemble cast with relatable personalities. There's something for everyone there. I think what we need to understand is that media specifically crafted for popularity tends to achieve widespread acclaim. Well, sometimes it fails drastically. It's no surprise that competently made adventure stories like Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse garner a substantial following. The Spiderverse movies in particular offer a refreshing take on superhero narratives, challenging the repetitive and predictable nature that we've got used to since Marvel have started churning out 4 a year. It is, however, important to acknowledge the value of niche and less popular works as well. Many personal favourites may never attain the same level of widespread recognition and appreciation, but their significance should not be diminished. I have movies like this. One of my favourite films of all time is the movie Yesterday, and I know that film isn't perfect, but as I always say, that's what love is. When you love something despite its flaws. I could go on and on about how that film touches me the way it does, but ultimately the film is for me. I'm not bothered that the ranking on Letterboxd probably isn't very good, because it makes me feel something. I have a feeling I'm gonna get attacked by people for loving that film as much as I do, but I wanted to mention it because it's important to realise that a film being on a list is meaningless. It's all about how a film speaks to you as a human being. You know what, since I've opened myself up to heckling, here are my favourite films of all time. So you're probably looking at this and thinking, this is a person that we're subscribed to, he likes that film, he clearly has no taste, and to that I say, yeah, fair comment. There's one last thing I do want to talk about, and that's review bombing. Review bombing refers to the malicious practice of deliberately giving a large number of negative reviews to a film, often making new accounts to do this. It's important to condemn review bombing, as it's not only unfair but, well, let's be honest, it's pretty sad. You're wasting your time if you do it. All this kinda makes me nostalgic for the time when film reviews were limited to the papers or Siskel and Ebert's TV show. Now there are so many reviews online that the scores are used as currency in some kind of culture war. Movies can't be enjoyed for what they are anymore. So yeah, don't do it. It's sad and weird. Ultimately, the one thing we can take away from this is that Spiderverse being number 1 simply does not matter. The top 250 list is primarily a reflection of popularity and public perception. It's not a definitive measure of cinematic quality, but what it does do is it provides valuable insights into films that have resonated with a wide audience. It's important to remember that rankings by nature are subjective. Film appreciation is a deeply personal and individual experience. You've seen my favourite films. There are some films on there that people have probably seen and thought was one of the worst films of all time. But that doesn't matter, because it means something to me. What one person considers a masterpiece, another may find underwhelming. What do you think of this controversy? Let me know in the comments below. Right, subscribe. We're trying to make it to 3K, so help us out with that. Right, I'll let you go.